What is up, fam-lam? It's your boy, Longmaster Bex. You know who it is. Just coming in to tell you, or to show you this thing that happened before the recording that Shaw really wants me to include in the final cut. So here it is.
Because all Love Live fans live in their own idol hell, so they do not poke their noses out of it. Yeah.
Who the fuck's texting me?
Wait, Bex has to keep that in. Bex, when you're listening to this, you gotta keep that in.
Okay, now I've shown it. Before we start the dank-ass podcast, I just want to say, we just hit 1,000 subscribers. Can you fucking believe it? It's crazy to think about. I just want to say thanks for all the support. We are going to do a little celebration episode about it soon, so be on the lookout for more information about that. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Tokyo Podfathers. And yeah, you guys probably know the drill by now, and if you don't, this episode may contain harsh language as well as spoilers. Oh, and tons of memes. Shit ton of memes.
Tutoru, everybody. Welcome back to the Our Anime Podcast. From the bottom of our hearts, we wish you all a Merry Kurisumis, or a Merry Christmayushi, or what the fuck ever you celebrate. Good to have you with us. Except this episode's not coming out until after Christmas, so I hope you got what you wanted for Christmas. I know I did. I got a fucking Steins Gate Zero release date. Going to be lit. It's excellent.
Lit.
But that's in the future. We can't go there yet, but we can look back at the past, which is the fall 2017 season, which just kind of recently ended. Most of this stuff is over now. So we're going to be talking about all these shows, going to discuss them and review them. And joining me once again, we have, from left to right on this Google Hangout, we have Dr. Whoops.
Hello, good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back. Also, I just noticed your mic is so much better this time.
Is it really? It's the same mic.
Oh shit, maybe... Fuck!
It's a miracle.
Well, congratulations on that.
It got some character development.
Yeah.
The microphone gods have smiled upon me.
And also, we have Kaverick.
Hello there.
Hello. And also, of course, Sha King 807.
Hey guys, unlike Whoops, my mic quality has gone down, so I will be representing all the shows that started off well at the beginning of the season and just got worse.
Oh no.
I stole some of your mic karma.
No. Bakana.
Alright, so yeah, let's just get right into this. The first show that we're going to talk about is, it's actually my favorite show this season. It's Juuni Taisen. Fantastic little death game show.
You have some weird taste, Moth. We know about it.
Okay, dude, if you want to trigger... I legitimately have never seen more people get butthurt at a single rating that I have ever given, but I gave Juuni Taisen a 9, and someone said that they legitimately vomited when they saw that. I'm like, wow, I should do this way more often. This is awesome.
Was it an official Discord server?
No, it was actually on our anime. It was a subreddit. I posted it on the...
Okay.
Yeah, it was great. Fucking Audacity keeps lowering my volume. I'm sorry if this sounds like shit, everyone. So, Juuni Taisen is a fun little death game show about 12 people who get together. They have to fight in this completely empty city, which has been just emptied out overnight for some reason. And
for no reason.
For no reason, basically. And they just gotta kill each other, and the winner at the end wants a wish granted. And the wish granted at the end is pretty fucking great.
Yeah, the wish is great. Actually, go on.
Okay, I was saying people were genuinely upset by the ending, which was weird.
Yeah, it was pretty divisive, yeah. I would say that Juuni Taisen was a decent show. I wouldn't say it was bad. I was just mocking your taste. Well, nothing too special. It was kind of predictable, because it was going by the order as it was expected from the show, I guess, from the start, from the get-go. But the ending was quite nice. It was fitting, I would say, for the winning character and the whole plot, I guess, going, the whole moral of the story. It was interesting enough. It even tried to justify all the blunt characters which were dying across the show at the end, and it kinda succeeded, kinda not, but it tried. And the last episode was pretty decent. Actually, that was the reason why I do not regret watching the show at all.
I actually thought the show overall was just quite good, even if it's just something simple as a death game. It was the type of show that kind of doesn't pretend to be anything more than it is, which is
It was just kind of losing me in certain episodes when there were just bland characters which didn't really matter, and like in the middle there were episodes about twins, and they were very poorly paced and just not really interested. I know that's when many people drop the show.
yeah. I'd say that was overall the weakest part, but I think what makes Juuni Taisen appealing for me, at least, even if I don't give it a 9, like an insane person would. But I did give it a 7, which is quite high for me considering it's an action show. But it's
Is it
just,
though? Is it an action show?
yeah, it's more thriller, I guess. But I think I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be that mean. I wanted it to be a temporary joke.
It's not trying hard to be clever or trying hard to be deep with its characters. It's just kind of it's just trying to be fun, I think. And
I wouldn't say it tries to be fun. It tries to send somewhat a message. Like, what is it to be an unfair victor and not even just winning for the sake of winning and not even knowing your aim? It was kind of interesting theme which appeared at the end of the anime. And once again, it made the whole mediocre show worth watching. I gave it 6 personally.
So I'm going down the line, and I gave it a 5. I think it's like a no. I don't hate the show. I think it's a pretty average show, and I do.
Dude, you gave it a 5. Do you even fucking like anime?
Well, probably not. But it's yeah. I mean, it's not like one of the shows I watched this season that made me want to kill myself, but it wasn't like a highlight for me. I think I like a lot of parts of it. I liked like what they did with Rat's character, and I really liked the ending of like 11, and I think 12 was a pretty decent episode. I do think it was kind of like had a lot of dead spots, like we talked about the the snake and dragon episodes. And I think I would call it like a show that had a lot of interesting ideas that didn't really execute them to the best of its abilities. I think like the action part of it was awful because it didn't really have many action parts. So I mean, that doesn't make it a bad show, but it does make it a bad action show. It's not. I don't think it's a bad show though. Like it has below a 7 Mal rating right now, which I think is pretty ridiculous. Like if I was thinking of like an appropriate Mal score that I think it should be like in the 7.5s. I don't know why.
Agree.
I don't know why it's so low. There's so much worse shit out there that's so much higher, and it's like okay, but I think the general reaction seems to be people who thought higher of the show and got let down, and then some people who were surprised with what happened with it. But I don't think it was really a disappointment. It was just kind of like a show I watched and I enjoyed parts and I didn't enjoy other parts, and it is what it is.
yeah, it's just a type of show where yeah, exactly, it is what it is. It's a death game, and it's not much more than that, and it's not much less than that. It's just a death game show that's quite entertaining for being a death game show overall.
Yeah, I just want to ask Moss, what did he like about the show enough to give it the 9?
And anime of your season. Like it's not just a 9, it's like your favorite of the season.
It is legitimately my favorite of the season. I think you're all right. I mostly agree with Whoops, of course, because I think that Juuni Taisen is just a very honest show. It knows exactly what it wants to do. It kind of knows what the audience wants. I feel like it's just a show that knows its limitations. Maybe, sure, it didn't quite play to its strengths fully. And maybe Cav could be right that there is, like, some hidden messages behind it. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some, like, meta commentary that Nisio Isin is making, because that's just something that he would do. But, you know, I just loved Juuni Taisen because I just wanted one thing, and it completely delivered on it. And for me, there wasn't really any dead time. I'm not going to say I was, like, super invested in the characters, but I also don't feel that the anime was really trying to get me invested in the first place, which is probably why a lot of people say that, like, oh, it's trying so hard to make you emotionally attached to the characters. Like, no, it's not, dude. It's just explaining a little of their backstory.
I think it's not trying as much as people expect it to, which is, I think, plays in why people are disappointed by it, because they expect it to be clever or in some way, or they think that it's trying to be.
Also, I really have to wonder with the people who were like, oh, it's like boring and predictable, but that's like the meta commentary on it. Like, no, it's not. Like, this isn't like a deconstruction of your expectations. Like, what are you doing? Like, guys, come on. You can't call everything like a deconstruction or some kind of like deeper meaning by having it be predictable. Like, I think at some point it didn't matter if it was predictable or not, but the people who think it's like better of a product because it's predictable and that's like commentary on something, I disagree with and think that is not true. Also, I have actually uncovered the hidden message of the Zodiac War, and it was, this is the Zodiacs, there's killing, Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer. Like,
oh my god.
That's what it was.
Holy shit.
So
Ted Cruz is red.
So we got it all. I'm sorry. I discovered the meaning of the show. I hope that doesn't spoil anyone's enjoyment too much.
I can't believe no one has made that joke before. I'm not even joking.
Juuni Taisen.
Well, what can we say after that? We got to move on from this. So, the next show is actually one that we missed for the first impressions, and after some suggestions, a couple of us picked it up and watched it. So, who watched Net-juu no Susume, or Recovery of an MMO Junkie?
I did that.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm the only one that finished it here.
Yeah, I still have a few episodes left.
Yeah, I only found out this show even existed like 5 weeks into the season, because initially I didn't pick it up because I thought it looked like isekai garbage.
Yeah, same actually.
Surprisingly,
which is pretty fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of isekai, but yeah, it's surprisingly not that isekai, and also definitely not garbage, because what it's actually is, it's a comedy, romance comedy, and it takes actually quite an interesting turn on that, because it's kind of like, and I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but it's kind of like SAO, where people meet in an MMO, but instead of them being angsty teenagers, they are 30-year-old people with no jobs who just kind of spend their time in the MMO world, and that's really fun because the characters are so different from what you'd usually expect out of a romance story or even out of a fantasy story. And yeah, it's not much more than that. It's just a cute story of characters meeting each other through this online game, and then also meeting each other in real life. But yeah, it just does it with a lot of entertainment value, because the characters are entertaining, and it's just got a lot of heart to it, I think, which is nice.
Yeah, I agree. I can't say it doesn't make me want to just quit my job and play MMOs all day. So it's like that's
a good
inspiring.
sign.
Yeah, it's really cute. I think it does a good job of not being too cringy, but also not being like shying away from being, I guess, somewhat honest about being a NEET. Like, because the main girl in it, like the premise is like she's like this 30-year-old woman who has like a lot of social anxiety and like got too stressed out with work, and then she like quits her job and just plays MMOs all day. I don't know how she does that, honestly. Like, I think she does it for a couple months, and I'm like, do you need, like, an income? Like, you need to support your life and, like, pay for server time. Like, how are you doing this? But
microtransactions don't pay for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Gabriel Dropout.
So I have no idea how that's really working, but it's really cute seeing, like, her interact with her friends online, and then, like, her and, I forget his name, but, like, the male lead.
Sakurai, voiced by Sakurai.
Yeah, we'll just call him Sakurai.
Shit.
Because that's what he means to me. I'm like, oh, he's voiced by Sakurai, he's best. So that's
Who
so
isn't
really
voiced
cute.
by Sakurai these days?
But he's voiced by Sakurai, but that's also his name, which is
Oh, right.
great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
It's literally him. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
So either you're voiced by you're either voiced by Takahiro Sakurai or you're voiced by Yuki Aoi.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really cute show. I almost like, at least from like a comedy standpoint, I wish they were almost a bit more like over the top with neat stuff. But like, I know it's good that it's not too over the top. But personally, I find like obnoxious neats funnier. But this works better as like a romantic comedy because it can feel like somewhat realistic with like how they interact and get along. So I think it's cute. It's worth watching.
Yeah. And the main, she really carries the show, I'd say, because the other characters, they're fine, but yeah, she's definitely what makes the show so great, because she's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
What score did you give it? Whoops.
I think like a mid-7, maybe even a high 7.
So it's just as good as noted.
Well,
Yeah, it's a 9 anime of the season.
Yep.
yeah,
Excellent.
everything's anime of the season.
I'm referring to everything on the, like, where's it on the scale for Mozilla? Like, how much of a is it?
And this one for me is pretty high on that scale. This next show is this honestly might be the most underrated anime of all time. Just because it's gotten tons of criticism for some stupid fucking reason. No one seems to understand this show. So let's talk about Urahara. One of the it's this oh god, does anyone have a good intro for this?
It's like these cute girls who work in a fashion store and like this and in the city, and then like aliens invade, so then they get special powers, and then they are able to fight them, but they're not fighting them with like traditional weapons. They have like really cute weapons. Like I think one shoots out like cake and stuff at them. I think I'm butchering it worse. But it's
not really.
It's got a really unique art style, so like whatever you're imagining, it's kind of like it's like this really pastel, pretty art style that has more of like rougher lines. But it's like really cool to watch. Like it's a very distinctive show visually. And I mean, like I'm also have not finished, but I like have really enjoyed what I've seen of it so far. And I didn't expect it to be that good, but I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah. The style's definitely what's like bringing people to the show, and most people just kind of drop it after one episode because there might be people that don't really enjoy the style or just don't care about it and kind of feel like the plot's lacking. But yeah, as it went on, even that really pulled itself together, I think, into a genuinely solid show, not just stylistically, but yeah, it also had interesting substance, because what it does is really use the setting to explore ideas of being a creator and what it means to create your own work rather than to copy things from others. And it's maybe not perfect in that regard, but it definitely portrays it all in an interesting way, because it's like a weird combination between magical girl means cute girls show meets thriller action. It's hard to describe it with those words, but yeah, I think it's just something that you need to watch to really get.
Yeah, it's cool. It does a lot of different things. I think it brings some new things to the table. I mean, not just in terms of the art style, which is like I would describe it as very cluttered, but not exactly in a bad way. There's just a lot of stuff on the screen. Lots of stuff has they're all in these it's a very colorful anime, not exactly a vibrant one, but it just has a lot of color, and lots of things have smiley faces on it as well. Lots of like smiley faces and confetti and candy and sweets. It's a very sweet show, and later on, it becomes more about, artistic integrity and all that sort of stuff. It's actually pretty interesting for that standpoint. I definitely agree that it could be a lot better. It's very weirdly paced. Some episodes are padded a lot. Like, they have a lot of, I wouldn't say dead time, but they keep repeating the same points. It feels a lot like some episodes should have been like 12 minutes, and they were stretched into 24-minute episodes instead. So, yeah, it definitely doesn't reach its full potential. But I think what this anime did was pretty great, and I really liked it. And just in terms of, like, even beyond the artistic themes and all, it has some, like, legitimately mind-blowing plot twists in it later on that are just like, holy shit, what?
Yeah, I got to the one episode where it was like they were having like mental breakdowns over finding out like what happens because of that. And like that was just like handled really, really well. I mean, I really enjoy that aspect when they have like mental breakdowns which lead to some form of development or not. But like it was really cool to see because, they did such a great job of building up to that point, and it would probably be really easy to get lost in, all the sunshine and smiley faces and stuff, but you could tell that they were building up to something, and I think they did a good job with it.
Mm-hmm. And, shit. Oh, yeah, because I've been having a hard time convincing people to actually watch this show, because, a lot of people just watch one episode and say, what the fuck is this shit, and then drop it. I'll give you a spoiler, a kind of vague spoiler, but it's a big spoiler, just to maybe interest people. Late into the show, like second or third to last show, it literally becomes School Live. Take that what you will.
Oh,
it literally becomes
means.
School Live.
Well, I know what that means. I think. Yeah, I know what that means. Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, it takes quite a turn in the second half.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty crazy.
Even outside of its darker side, it's also just a really entertaining show for the lighter parts. I think the characters are entertaining to watch, and
I haven't watched the show, but I guess what I see what you're implying on was interesting.
Yeah,
Ooh, you just gotta win.
Though kind of like what Whoops was saying, it's not actually that dark of a show. It is trying to be kind of bright and fun and cheery. It just does have some dark twists to it.
I do have to say that I really like how the show uses... Sorry, Kev. I like how the show uses cuteness as, like... And it uses it as kind of, like, a stylistic choice instead of feeling like a crutch. Because I feel like a lot of shows are like, well, we have cute girls and we have this cute setting. Like, people are just gonna watch it, and at the end of the day, they can at least say it's cute. But I don't think this show rests on being cute, and instead kind of makes that just, like, the lifeblood of the show, but it really adds to it. There's a lot going on beneath just being cute. And I wanted to, like, give it a shout out for that.
It doesn't really have, like, cute moments. It's just that the characters' personalities are kind of cute.
Yeah.
And they like cute things.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's hard to describe what Urahara is, or even what the appeal is. I think it's just something that has to be tried.
Yeah, we need to remember that it was directional debut of new director Amiko Kubo, and just as with Flip Flappers, I believe, the direction is here, the idea, the new vision of anime is here, but it kind of, I don't know if it's the same with Urahara, but Flip Flappers kind of lacked in plot development and just making sense out of it. So yeah, I'm not sure if Urahara is the same.
Urahara is like Flip Flappers, only I liked it, so it is different.
Right.
It's definitely, in terms of plot, definitely gives the same vibe as Flip Flappers, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah, lots of people compared it. Urahara does have a much more concrete plot, although it might not be entirely clear within the first couple episodes. But later on, you'll kind of see, like, oh, okay, that's what they were going for.
Right.
So yeah, I recommend it. What I gave it a 7. What about you guys? Ooh.
I'll
I
probably
think like a low 8.
I can see it being a 6 or 7 for me, depending on the last episodes when I finally watch it. But it's still a positive score, and like the fact that it has a like 5.88 on Mal is another ridiculous score. Come on,
Yeah,
like what are you guys doing?
That's like a 3 in normal people's terms.
Yeah, like what are you
Jesus.
guys doing? Come on, so bad. I'm disappointed in the Mal scoring. Very sad.
My anime list. Alright, so we gotta move on. Why? Just because!
Oh, you had to do it. Yeah, you had to.
Well,
That was not bad considering. There's so many just because memes, but that one worked.
yeah.
Yeah, great title, guys. Great title. So who watched Just Because, anyway?
Yeah,
I watched
'cause I
just
didn't.
because when it shows up, you know.
I've watched it. I think I'm one episode behind, but I have been catching up with it because I.
Oh, I just
behind.
realized
Just
this hasn't
because?
ended yet, Rip.
Oh, it hasn't
I-
ended. Oh, right.
Well, I think it's. I mean, the joke is I'm just watching it just because, but
Yeah.
I think it's genuinely a good show. Again, in the same sense as Net-juu, where it's just a simple romance story. This one's more on the romance drama side than romance comedy, but it's just a show that it's really the only way to describe it. It's just that it's a romance story, and it's not much more than that. Just the simplest way to do it.
It's the romance.
Minus
Well,
the
it's
death
not
game parts, that would make it like pretty fun. I'd be
They
down
don't
with
make
that.
it. They don't make it Osama game.
But
Yeah.
I quite like it because it's like it's slow, of course, because it's a romance story, and God forbid we actually got one that has steady progression. But it's one of the more consistently romance stories that actually goes somewhere and does something and actually has characters interacting instead of avoiding each other all the time.
I can't agree with that when they had like an entire episode on them avoiding texting each other. But I mean, that is like it does generally seem to have like progression with like confessions and stuff. I don't know. I like parts of this show, but then I also find it can be like pretty average in other terms. Like I like that I don't find the characters offensive, which I think can happen in romances when people can be kind of frustrating because they're put in so many different like situations where like misunderstandings happen and you have a lot of drama and miscommunications. So I think it's a testament to the character quality that they don't come off as annoying when they do have these miscommunications. It does feel pretty grounded, and it seems like subdued in a cool way that makes it feel realistic. So props to that.
It does feel realistic, and I think what makes this show overall just more interesting than most of the other romance stories is just that the characters have a personality, which is already a big thing for most like really basic romance stories. I mean, people are having pretty heavy best girl discussions on this show, which is usually a good sign because that means there's multiple good girls.
That's how you know that's where all the intellectuals are gathering.
Well, no, but it's genuinely an enjoyable show just because of the characters. Because there's not generally just I didn't even intentionally.
I can't tell when it's a meme or not.
Yeah, it's hard to explain what makes a show appealing. It's not incredibly great, but it's a good show because it doesn't do anything particularly interesting, but it does it with characters that are more entertaining to watch than the average romance character, and that's really what makes the show appealing.
How would you compare this to Sukigakure?
They're not that far apart in my opinion.
Okay.
I think they do similar things. They definitely have a similar appeal.
I think that Tsukigakure is a bit more like charming and like a cute kid way. Like you kind of look, at least for me, like I look back on Tsukigakure and I was like, oh, like they're cute middle schoolers, like they're awkward, but it's not cringe awkward. It's like awkward that feels authentic. Whereas I think this show is not necessarily charming, but it's subdued. Like it doesn't try to be that cute, like a cutesy show, but it does happen to be like a grounded show. So I mean, they're both going for that realistic approach to romance that doesn't feel over the top, but I think it's just like a different tone they set.
Yeah. Tsukigakure is definitely more warm overall. Well, just because this just has that more drama to it, but not like in a my feels way, but just things happen that are a bit less kind and less cute, I guess, than Tsukigakure, but they're similar shows, definitely. They take a more human side to the genre.
I see. Okay, because I remember when this first started, and I was like, "Oh, it's Tsukigakure again." That's fine. Not a fan of either, so I didn't watch this. But you guys do you. Well, what would you? It's not over yet, but what do you think you're gonna rate it?
Like a 7, I think. Somewhere along the same lines of Net-juu.
70, nigga?
Well,
Just
one could say it is the of the romance genre, because I will also give it the 5. So
It's like except it's not at all like.
It's like
Anime Summit.
It only shows up like 2 hours later. So, I mean.
Oh shit.
Oh, just because delays. Well. Yeah, it's like fine. It's fun. Yeah, Maz, you might give it a 9 out of 10 anime of the season, but I don't know.
If I ever finish it.
If it comes out for you to finish it, you know, you can only do the best you can.
Yeah, we're still waiting. Still waiting on episode 2.
Yeah, it's been 5 weeks. We're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
all right.
Kobe has Best Girl. I just wanted to get that out there.
I don't have a strong opinion on Best Girl on the show. I don't think it's like a war. I don't think it's a Best Girl war, but I do like the I think it's Mio, the main girl. I always have such vanilla taste with romances. I just like end up rooting for the main girl almost by default, but I like her. She's cool. She's chill. How about you?
Yeah, Komiya is probably the best girl.
Which one is she?
But she's the photo girl.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for her though. Like she's cool, but she can't win.
Yeah, she can't win, but she should.
No, her
Anyone
hair.
that thinks otherwise is wrong.
I hate her hair. It looks like dry.
Oh, I love her hair.
I hate her hair. It looks like wet ramen.
Hair.
It's like shitty ramen. I hate it.
But, yeah,
I judge my best girls based on their odds of winning and how their hair looks. So she's 0 for 2. But she's not bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't hate her, but I'm like, girl, you
She's
can't
like
win. You
best
can't.
part of the show for me. But yeah.
We will find out who the true winner is in about a year when they come out with the final episode after all the delays.
Yay.
I just love that you described her as like seaweed hair, and I'm looking at this
No,
picture. I'm just
ramen.
like, yeah, that is seaweed hair.
It's like, I imagine like, you know, when you have
Good
like
job.
the dried ramen and then like you put water on it and it still looks like before you cook it. That's her hair
It's
in
like
its
rubber.
final form.
It's cute.
Yeah, we'll use that as a word.
To each their own. We got to move on because we got a lot more to talk about. This next show is a readaptation of a fantastic little light novel series that you might have heard of. It's Kino's Journey.
Yeah. Man, this light novel might be fantastic, but...
Yeah.
There's the general reaction to this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a show that aired this season, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think
it's basically
I don't know.
a big shadow of the former self.
Is it the of readaptations?
Fucking God.
It's the of Kino's Journey.
That's a slay. That's a slay.
That's high praise.
Now, it's just the shit version of Kino Tabi. No
fuck.
involved.
Except
That's
with
a
your
shame.
expectations.
Fucking dropped.
It's not about expectations, it's just about the overly average quality of the episodes, I would say. Um, they didn't grab you as much as the original series. Um, it's basically everything they could do wrong about the series, they did wrong.
Wow, that's
They
impressive.
they had weird episode sequence because in the original they kind of build up uh many things. Like you had time to grow sympathetic towards Kino. You would not always agree with her actions, but you would usually root for her. While all the episodes which would characterize her in the new series were left out for the end of the series for some reason. So when you kind of wanted to know more about her, the series ends. And the final episode was total horseshit. Holy shit, that was a horrible
I can't wait
episode.
to watch it.
I haven't seen it yet.
It was like a total disrespect for any fans of the series, so light novel, I think. I don't know, it's just so astonishingly bad. It's I'm out of words.
It's like they just for the series in general, like they kind of took the weakest episode of the original Kino's Journey and said, we're going to do that 12 times and then call it a series. Because it's an episodic series, but the original actually had a lot of great episodes that just presented a lot of interesting themes, and the new Kino just has none of that. And combine that with just all the style that it has almost none of, it just felt so dull and just really weak overall.
Yeah, I mean the original series had some plan. It is seen. You can see how the structure was planned, the sequence of episodes and everything. While in the new series, they just threw every possible popular light novel together and stick up like randomly in whatever order, and it didn't work. Wow, who would have expected?
Speaking of this last episode, I'm just reading the discussion thread, and one of the top comments says, "What the fuck was that?" And that's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what? Yeah.
Oh, this one guy says, "I thought the Zodiac War was over, but they dedicated a whole episode so Sheep could take non-stop losses." Wow, this really is the of Kino's journey.
Oh my god. Yes.
Oh Jesus.
This meme is already 3D and we didn't even post the episode yet.
Yeah.
All
right.
Were you going to say something, Shaw?
I have not seen it, but now I'm definitely watching it after hearing about the comparisons to...
Hey, yo, hold up.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll give this show credit for one thing. It made me watch Kino's Journey. Maybe not the correct version of Kino's Journey, but I mean, when the fuck was I gonna watch the original anyway? This isn't an excuse. I can definitely I'll give it one thing. Like, I don't think this is going to be like a series ruiner for people. I mean, maybe that last episode was bad, but I feel like I can see like some good things about each individual episode. I'm just kind of wondering, like, at the end of the day, what was this show trying to accomplish? Because each episode just has all these different stories, and they're all. It's not just that the overall plot, if it has one, is inconsistent. It's just like really inconsistently toned as well. Like, for the most part, it's a pretty tame show. There's not a whole lot of, like, violent, edgy shit going on. And then there's this one episode where this girl she's a slave to this traveling group, and then they all sit down to eat dinner together, and the son of this wealthy family is like, "Hey, Dad, let me buy that slave. I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of her and then kill her because she's useless." I'm like, what the fuck? This is some dark shit, dude. Where is this coming from?
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, it was fucking nuts.
I mean, I think in general, just in the series overall, it just felt tonally inconsistent, or even within an episode, it just felt like it wasn't really, it wasn't consistent with its tone or what it's trying to achieve. It just really felt like some episodes put in a row for whatever reason.
Yeah, again, it's a very poor planning. I mean, or actually lack of any kind of planning, which ruins the episodic show.
I
The
believe
original's really good.
Yep.
Sorry.
I believe what they did is they like announced that they were going to do a readaptation of the series, and then they had like a fan poll to decide which chapters they would adapt in the new series, and that's what they went with. Which in theory sounds like it would have been a good idea, but clearly it didn't really. Clearly, the fans don't seem to be very happy with it.
Never trust light novel readers.
Yeah. And aside from that, like, I mean, I think Kino is an interesting character, except I don't know anything about her. So that kind of sucks. But, yeah, I haven't finished this, but I think I'm going to give it like a 5. Because it does some good things.
Yeah, I gave it 5 as well, but it's a really weak 5.
Yeah, kind of a weak 5.
But what did you give the original Kino? Okay.
I gave it 9. I mean, I wrote Watch This Thread like 3 months ago, so...
I gave the original an 8. So I think if there's anything to conclude from this, is just watch the original.
Yeah, watch the original. It's one of the best episodic series of all time, I would say. It's just a pure joy to watch.
That's, I had a joke, but I forgot it. God damn it. Alright. Next show is a very, very, very good show that, is kind of a little bit underwashed, but I think a lot of people know about it. It's Shoujo Shuumatsu Ryokou, or Girls Last Tour, or that one show where the girls dab in the OP.
Blob's Last Tour. Blob's.
Blob's Last Tour.
Blob's Last Dab.
Blob's Last Dab, yeah.
Last.
And
The Blobs.
I believe... Yeah, I believe in the first impressions we said that the show was great, and we didn't expect it to be anything less than that. And yeah, it was consistently great throughout all the run. It was philosophical, haunting, and at the same time it tried to balance the Halloween setting and its whimsical characters really well. I know some people were disappointed by the tone of the anime, but I feel like it was the point that it wasn't overly depressing. But it was thanks to the characters and you especially, who were kind of comedic relief to the setting, and because of their amusing reactions to everything, it was an easy watch. It wasn't hard, overbearing sitting through the 25 minutes of depression of, oh my god, the world has ended, no one is alive, what to do. We just see these two cute blobs traveling around the city, picking up random stuff, talking about some I don't know, eternal things. It's kind of methodical, it's kind of slow, but at the same time I feel like it's a very smart show. It knows its limits and it's very well presented.
It's a very thoughtful show.
Yeah.
Very slow, very gentle, but still pretty fun.
Yeah, it's but even if it's just like it's overall a fairly positive show, I'd say, despite its setting, but there's always still the themes of the show doesn't pretend like this isn't the end and it isn't post-apocalyptic. It still definitely addresses what that...
It's hard to say because I've seen both interpretations and both of them were valid, which once again speaks of the show's strength.
I think one of my favorite episodes that I think kind of like summarizes the show perfectly in its tone and just like the message was the airplane episode where they have the
6th episode,
like yeah, so the girl that they're working with, like, her airplane finally is done, and then, like, she tries to fly it, and everything looks well, but then, like, the plane falls apart, and she, like, parachutes down, and I think it was, like, that hope that you see at first, and then to see it crashing down, but not have that hope crashing really be detrimental to both the girls and the woman. Like, she survived, and I think her surviving and still living on is kind of, like, the point of the show. Like, even when your hopes are kind of lost, like, you keep going forward, and even if you didn't get what you wanted, you're still kind of pushing forward and living in this world. And it was a good balance between not having it be unrealistically hopeful and not being too crushing with its despair. It strikes that really nice balance that does make it feel authentic. And I think that's, like, the really key strength of the show, is how you do see that they're in this post-apocalyptic world where there's hardly anyone there, but they still manage to have fun in the daily aspects of life, even if, you know, we don't know how much longer they can survive in it.
Yeah. They're just two characters that they're just good. They're just best friends. They have a good chemistry together.
Yeah, but the show, what I think makes it so beautiful, which also ties into the combination of hopelessness and still the positive side or the acceptance of that. It's just how well it can combine the more philosophical aspects with its generally atmospheric nature. Because one episode they could be going into a temple and discover the existence of religion and think about what that means for their life and why it exists, which is all very thoughtful and very intricately written. But then another moment they could just be sitting around in the rain and putting little cans under the raindrops to make music, and then
oh god, that was so good.
That was such a good scene. But yeah, so it takes the time to do both of those things really well, where it's both just the characters being themselves and interacting and just kind of discovering their environment, but in a more playful sense, but also at the same time discovering their environment in a very philosophical way, which I think is brilliantly combined in the show.
I also like the small details of, like, they say, like, how far they say, like, oh, like, to 25,000 kilometers, and, like, you asks, like, oh, is that far? Like, it's the really small details that we take for granted with our, like, base of knowledge that they wouldn't really have. Like, those really small details stand out to me, and I appreciate them.
You is dumb. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, she dumb. She dumb.
Well, the only thing that I kind of disliked about the series is the ending. It could have been a bit more subtle to me, because everything which was said in the second half of the final episode was kind of interesting. It added a lot to the world building, but I feel like it could have been handled in a better way. And it's the only weak aspect of the series to me.
It did come a bit out of nowhere with there could have been some hints, I think, but I still think the final episode was really good, especially the first half. But I think overall the show just like you said, the attention to detail is just really like little lines that can be said just once and not be addressed can still have a lot of thought put behind them. Like when they find a camera and they see that it has like 300,000 memory of pictures on it that it can carry, and they just say something offhanded like this camera can hold 300,000 pictures forever, but we can only last 40 days with the food that we have, which is also really interesting for the environment outlasting the people living in it, which ties into the apocalyptic nature of the show. So yeah, it's just really worked out into the details, like what does this setting mean for the characters, what does it mean for the world, and that's what I think is really what the show excels at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one more comment is it's one of the best soundtracks of the year, easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anytime there's like a song with like that little choir coming in, it's wonderful.
It's such an atmospheric show overall. Just
Very
get enveloped. Yeah.
What I think I'm going to give this show about a 7. I wish I could give decimals on amount. It's like a solid 7.5.
You give a 9 to and a 7 to...
Well, we can't all be of the season. We can't actually do that. You can't be the Juuni Taisen of Blobs and still be the Inuyashiki of Juuni Taisen.
Juuni Taisen, yeah.
Gotta accept limits. But so, what is your decimal for the 7?
It's a 7.5. probably. What would you guys give it?
I gave it not just a 10 out of 10, but also my number 4 favorite anime of all time.
Damn.
So it's the Juuni Taisen of your favorites.
It's Inuyashiki.
Sorry, I'll end this meme at some point.
This meme stopped making sense.
It didn't have any sense to begin with.
Memes.
But yeah, this is probably my anime of the year, if I'm not counting Sangatsu no Lion. But yeah, I think it's easily one of the best things I've watched all year.
I gave it 8. I was really torn apart between 8 and 9, but I feel like 3 last episodes weren't as magical as the first 6, I think. So yeah, I'm really torn. I still might change it to 9, and definitely it's still going to be one of my favorite series of the year. It's like in top 5, I think.
Yeah, I actually still have to finish it. I actually did some good binging this morning, which is why I remembered the airplane episode, because I just watched it. But I really enjoy it. I think I'm in this weird spot with this show because I really liked it back in our retrospective, but then as I was watching airing,
But this is the retrospective.
Back in 5 minutes ago, I really enjoyed this show, but everything changed after the Juuni Taisen joke. But no, I really enjoy it, but I also find it somewhat tough to get motivated to watch. I'm not sure why. This is a personal problem. Don't at me, but so I really enjoy it, but I'm torn between a 7 and an 8. We'll have to see how it ends though, but no matter what, it's still top 5 of the year for me. Definitely one of my favorites. Everyone should watch it, and I think it's a really good show.
It is good.
Yeah, to be precise, it's my 5th anime of the year.
I think it's actually 5 for me now too. It might go higher by the time it ends. We will see.
Awesome.
All right.
So, oh boy. Let's make this one quick. I don't want to dwell on this too long. This is probably the most disappointing show of the season. One of the few shows, if maybe the only show of this whole podcast that we're going to be collectively negative on. Children of the Whales.
Yeah, we were talking about how well balanced Girls Last Tour was, and it isn't the case totally for the Children of the Whales, because the balance is horrible here. It's overly dramatic. It has lots of cheap dialogue. There is nothing subtle about it. Holy shit, you don't feel any emotion. It's so sad. Why don't you feel sad about it? Why? What? No.
Feelings. Look, we're people. We have feelings. Or we don't have feelings. Oh my god.
Yeah, it just feels so fake, so far-fetched. I just cannot literally watch the show. I'm 3 episodes behind. I'm really struggling with it. I'm really hating myself for having a no-drop rule, because every episode is just such a slog. It's just horrible. Not to mention it has terrible logical issues when there are soldiers just standing here waiting for main characters to finish off their dialogues or monologues or whatever they're doing. Plot armor, yes, of course. We will not kill the main characters just because they're main. Why not? Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, this show has a ton of things going on. And, I mean, this show, I say it's the most disappointing of the season because it does legitimately have a lot of potential. I think that the original author of this manga, the author does both the art and the story. And for what it's worth, I'm going to assume that the design of this anime is heavily inspired by the manga design. This anime is very, very beautiful, particularly with the background art. So I'm going to say that this author is a very, very talented artist, and they have some good ideas for a story, but they have no idea what the fuck they are doing with them at all. There's just so many things going on. The pacing is all over the place. I don't even know what the hell the main character does. He's just a guy.
He just exists, yeah.
He exists. He's his job is to be the he's supposed to like keep a record of all of the events that have happened, but you almost never see him doing that. And what's the point of that in the first place?
He's like Rat of Children of the Whales.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different things going on with like the mystery of like these people called the Marked, which is there's like this magic sort of thing that they have in this world, and some people have it, some people don't, but there's like this big mystery of it. There's this mystery of the mud whale, like why is there just this creature that can inhabit a whole community of people on it, and what's in the outside world? These people don't know what's going on. There are other civilizations though, and they're trying to destroy these guys. Why? So many different things going on, and it's just all flat, and all of the characters are boring as hell. They're just flat. The one, like, if you go to any discussion thread for this show, everyone is
they're all dead, by the way. Every discussion has like 15, 12 comments at best.
They have like 12 comments, and they all talk about how the girl with the spear is the best character, even though she doesn't even fucking do anything.
Yeah.
Because she's like the only character with an actual personality.
Somewhat, yeah.
Very,
yeah.
Whoops, Shaw, did you two watch this?
No, I was going to, and then everyone hated it, so I was like, I ain't got time for that. We're done. It sounds sad.
I watched like 3 episodes of it. The first episode I quite liked, but then by episode 2 and 3 it kind of gave me like it's that kind of show thing, and then I dropped it, so...
Once I saw that Cav wrote an entire post about how to fix the show, I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
We're not going down this path.
Cav will save anime.
Praise Cav. Yeah. He is my hero.
He's the Juuni Taisen of the podcast.
He's the best member, that's for sure.
Yeah, speaking of my hero...
That was supposed to be a good transition.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Alright, here's one of the big shows of the season. It's Inuyashiki.
Yeah.
Someone was very specific on how I'm supposed to pronounce Inuyashiki. Oh, fuck, I just messed it up.
Who said
Alright,
that was
haven't
definitely not
watched
me.
it. I haven't watched it, so convince me to watch it or not watch it.
No, I'm actually torn. Okay, so I've been a huge Inuyashiki sympathizer for like a long time. Even amongst the bangs and the like like all of that shit, I was like, you know what, this still is okay. And then you finished it, right, Maz?
Yes.
As soon as they got to Hiro saying, "Wait, I'm the villain," I think I got up and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? We're done. We're done with the show. We're done." And so it dropped off big for me. I think it's a show that has a lot of interesting concepts. I think it had some really cool ideas, and it looked like they were going to try to pursue them, and then they didn't. So it kind of felt like they hit like on these like different milestone points of like where we're supposed to see the story change, but we didn't build up to any of it. So then like when you get to the ending, you're like, the fuck were they trying to go for with this like emotional ending? But I don't care about any of these people. But I still like the opening, so there's always a silver lining.
Good old man with a mission. I will say this, I do also think the ending is like kind of strange. I was a little desensitized to it because I accidentally read a spoiler of it. Because for whatever reason, like the anime on my anime list has a significantly higher rating than the manga, which is almost never the case for any adaptation of something. So I'm just like, okay, what the fuck happened in the end that got everyone pissed off? And then I read it and I'm like, oh, that's it? That's not that bad. It is like, I feel like the show is oddly straightforward. Like it just, I don't know. It doesn't like seem to ever try reaching for certain heights. It just has some fun moments. It has some kind of emotional moments, and then the ending is almost just like it just ends.
But it's also like very retarded about how it goes about things. Like I think the biggest fault was like about in the middle of the season, they shifted the focus away from Inuyashiki to Hiro, and they tried to, like, humanize him, but I don't think they actually know, like, how to humanize villains by, like, still making them look... Huh?
Wait, they tried to humanize Hero?
Yeah.
I dropped the show. Why would they... Okay.
Then they, like...
Okay.
Yeah,
That's...
yeah.
I mean, I've been ignoring everything about the show ever since I dropped it, but it's quite strange to try to humanize a guy who, like in episode 2, you show him drowning a child in a bathtub with the corpse of the father that he killed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really material for someone you should humanize, at least, but...
Yeah, like, we're not feeling bad for him. Like, we see, like, you're not getting my sympathy. So, it's kind of tough because they want to make him interesting, but at some point, when you make a villain, like, very unlikable, the only way you can really go is making them look like as much of a threatening monster as you can. You can't try to make me feel bad for them, because it's just not going to happen. And the main, like, appeal to me for the show was Inuyashiki as a character, as kind of, like, this old guy who'd gotten shit on life all the time, but still has this, like, very kind, like, disposition, and who's inspired to, like, help people. So I thought it was going to go in a way and become somewhat of, like, a cat and mouse game between him and Hero, kind of like Death Note. I thought it would be some kind of gray morality, where, like, he would start to get, like, more corrupt, and Hero might have become slightly less of a villain and might go around saving people. We got none of that, and instead we just have, like, them trying to, like, humanize Hero, not working, and then Hero just keeps going around saying bang and da-da-da-da-da, like, killing people and shit. And, yeah, and they kind of they even try to humanize, like, Inuyashiki's family, and they just straight up suck. Like, that family sucks. I hate them. And,
I'll give you that. I don't like his family either.
His family is ass, and they try to make you, like, feel bad for them, and I don't, because they suck. So, it was a fail on a lot of different parts. And the worst part is I could see the potential for it to not fail, but it still failed. And it makes me sad. It's probably my disappointment of the season, not because it was the worst show, but because I think it had a lot of potential. And I mean, I still had fun watching it, but it's not, like, good. Like, I wouldn't be like, yo, Cab, you should watch this show. You can, like, skip that. But the opening is still fun.
I don't really, I mean, I thought it was a fun show at the very least. I will give you some things, like, I mean, I don't completely dislike Hero as a character. I will say that it probably was a bit too much of a distraction to try humanizing him a little bit, especially because, like, the pacing of this whole anime is so quick that it's just, like, anything that happens... Basically what happens is that this guy is like a merciless killer, and then he basically gets taken in by this one high school girl who has a crush on him, and she lives with her grandma, and that's just it. And he's just like, okay, I'm gonna stop killing now. Yeah, so like, it's like, okay, just like, that's it. I'm done. Yeah. And it's also like he doesn't have very deep reasonings for doing the things he does in the first place. He's a very inconsistent character, in my opinion. Yeah. But I still think he's a fun villain, just partially because of how merciless he is, but also just the way he kills people is just fucking funny. Like he just fucking like, points a finger at you and says, "Bong!"
Like,
bong,
I'm
bong,
not
bong,
sure. Yeah, the thing is, he's entertaining at least. Like, but it's like, I think I'm ironically liking this show. Like, all the bang memes and shit. Like, that's just really dank. And then, like, when Inuyashiki tries, like, shooting him back, and they're just both saying
God, the
bang.
fucking fight between Hero and Inuyashiki, that is definitely the highlight. When Inuyashiki goes, he's, like, screaming it. It's just...
You guys know that music video? That, like, Guys Not Hot video? By that, like, fake rap. Yeah, Man's Not Hot. That video where he goes, dun, dun, dun. Like, that's what I picture every time this show happens. So, I mean, it makes me smile in some way, even if I'm like, y'all dumb. This is some dumb shit.
I would...
It's kind of like the crazy taxi of my expectations.
Fuck.
I will also say that even though the ending is kind of mediocre, it was still completely worth it because we got Trump Senpai.
Yo, okay, actually, like, I think this is actually somewhat praiseworthy. They have, like, you know how bad, like, Japanese English can be? they somehow found a guy who sounds like very authentic Trump. Like, even his mannerisms and, like, slight, like, New York accent. Like, they tried hard to make it sound like Trump, and they succeeded. Like, huge props. That was, like... That was praiseworthy.
Yeah, I do legitimately love the things Trump said. He's just like, well, we're all gonna die. I did what I wanted to do. You guys can go fuck yourselves. Bye.
It was literally that. Like, I'm happy with the life I lived. You guys are losers. Like, that was it. That's the most authentic part of Inuyashiki, is the Trump part.
Sad. Alright, what did you rate this, Sha?
I rated it the Inuyashiki of a 5 out of 5. A 5 out of 10. Not 5 out of 5.
Perfect score. Great anime.
I've surpassed Maz, and it is elevated itself. Nah, it's a 5.
And I gave it a 7. It was fun. I would say it's like a decent popcorn show. It definitely could have been a lot better, but I think it did a lot more harm than good. And Kevin, whoops, you said you haven't watched it, right?
Or no, I dropped it.
Okay.
I dropped it.
See, that's like
I haven't watched it.
That's my that's my threshold with like my scores is like if it's a 5, like I'm on the fence about recommending it. So I'm like, I don't know if you have to watch it. Maybe if you're bored, but like not really. But those are my 5s, or like the questionable recommendation ones.
All right. And the last new show of the season that we'll talk about is none other than Houseki no Kuni. Who wants to talk about Houseki no Kuni?
Yeah, I could talk about it, I guess, a bit. It's without any doubt a leader of the season. Probably the most discussed show of the season as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty damn awesome. It's extraordinary in presentation. CGI has never looked as gorgeous before. I would say shows. Yeah.
I would say an initial comment. This is a full CG anime, and I don't think there's a whole lot of competition for it, but I think this is the best full CG anime that we've gotten so far.
It's not full CGI, and the blocks uncover some truth behind it, that some of the shots are drawn in traditional way.
Exposed! Fake CG show.
Yeah, it's just a very well established and presented show. It's art, it's visuals, it's 10 out of 10 easily for me. Just how it presents itself, how painstakingly well animated action scenes are. Like, some of them are just... I'm not a big fan of action, like, at all. But I was kept on the edge of my seat during those scenes because they were so damn impressive. Yeah. Go on.
It's definitely like a milestone for CGI and anime, I think, because before Houseki, for a lot of people, it was like, okay, CG anime might never live up to traditional animation, or at least not anytime soon. But
it's hard to say. It's hard to say if it's a milestone, just because it was in development for almost 2 years. Obviously, not every show is allowed to do that.
Right, but I mean a milestone in changing
in people's minds. Yeah.
Just in the community, right. Because I think Houseki is the first show that really showed, like, hey, this is what CG anime can do, and even this is what CG anime can do that traditional anime can't, or can do less.
I myself was very skeptical of it, like how it would handle the cute aspects of the gems, but it nailed it perfectly. Like, I cannot even say anything bad about it.
I think to highlight the promise of the CG in this show is that one of the fights in this was like, there was like this entire uncut 90-second or so scene. It was literally just one cut. The camera just moves around the whole time, and it's like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it's really... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was like, it's really sad that the general conception of like CG anime is kind of like a budget saver, especially with all the Berserk adaptations. How people use CG as kind of like an insult, or they think it's a sign that a show won't be good. And when you check out this show, you're just really aware of like how they're using it as a strength for the environment and characters. And I mean, I hope that it'll be able to get past the misconception that CG, like all CG anime, look bad. Because I think it's like one of my favorite looking shows of the season or of the year. It just looks so great.
Yeah, I frankly speaking, I believe it's the best looking show of the year.
Okay.
I can see that, yeah. But even
I don't
if
disagree.
production is like what a show really shines in terms of the main appeal, I guess, or what draws people to the show. But even that aside, it's a very well written show. Like, very impressive with the way it handles characters and world and development. It's just all very very well written overall.
Yeah, back into the topic of balance. Once again, Houseki no Kuni is a very perfectly balanced show because even in the first episode, which I was kind of skeptical to get into, there were some kind of funny scenes, like these interactions between gems, falls, and all this stuff. Like, oh, it's whimsical, that's amusing, and all that. But then the second half comes, you see the cinnabar, you see how not depressed but detached they are, and you see how empty Falls is looking, and you see that it's kind of deeper than that. That the show has more than just these amusing interactions. It balances it very well, even by the end, even when some tremendous events happen in the middle of the series, it still manages to nail the balance between it being not too heavy and not too light.
Yeah, I was really a huge fan of just like the way the show developed. I really think we were talking about like a lot of the philosophical content of Girls Last Tour, and I think that's really apparent in Houseki no Kune as well, where there's a lot of existential questions that are posed and not really like kind of, it sounds really edgy, but kind of like the pain of living. Like you live on and say like you don't really know why you're living on, you don't know what the purpose is. And there was like a really great scene, I think it was Yellow Diamond, who's like, she's one of the oldest gems, she was like casually saying to another one, it's like, yeah, we go out and fight, but like we don't really know why we're going out. And then Fo comes in and she's like, oh, because it makes Sensei happy. And it was just like such a like effortless answer from her, and it like cleared the air for everyone, and it was like a really nice, refreshing scene. But it does show kind of like the pain of going on and trying to live this like the same existence day after day for hundreds of years, and it just like felt like really connected with me. I really enjoyed watching them grow, and kind of the like, especially for Fo, like she's definitely like my favorite main character of this season of the year. She might be my favorite 2017 character, honestly. It's just so she was just so interesting because she was so annoying at the beginning, and then it was kind of like you miss how annoying she was when you got to the end, and you did see how detached she got, and she kind of went through all this pain of getting stronger, and how she lost her like memories, she kind of lost her personality. I don't know, it's so interesting, and I was really excited because I forced my mom to watch some of the series with me, and it was like I showed her the first 2 episodes, and it made me realize that because this is a CG anime and it doesn't really look traditionally anime, I think it could actually be a good gateway anime for people who don't typically watch anime, since, I think Western audiences are more used to cartoons looking CG with all the Pixar movies. So I think it's hopeful to kind of show newcomers, and hopefully they'll be into the show and into anime as well.
Yeah, interesting point.
By the way, anyone listening that hasn't been watching this show, if you're a little lost as to what the hell this show is, we keep calling the characters gems. They are literally gems.
It's not a compliment. They're gems.
They are literally these humanoid life. They are gems that have become these like humanoid life forms, and that does mean that they have all these different properties. Some of them have specific powers. The main character Foss, the main character Foss is one of the most fragile gems of the whole group. So it's like there's like this danger, at least in the beginning of the show, where it's like she could just fall on the ground and legitimately fucking break herself. But I mean, don't worry, she can be like glued back together, and it's like totally cool. So yeah, they do a lot of interesting things with this. I think that just the general concept of the show is really fascinating. It's one of the most unique ones out there.
Setting is a bit complicated, yeah.
The setting too.
Yeah, setting is a bit complicated, and it's very well established and used. Overall, how gems are feeling about themselves, about their existence. Yeah, that's about it.
The gems, they live for like several hundreds of years. Like the main character, she's like 245 years old, and she's still one of the youngest. And what it does really interestingly as well in combining the longevity of the characters and the setting is that really the biggest theme in the entire show is the main character Foss really finding what she wants to do with her time. Because she's too weak to fight, and she's kind of trying to find out what she wants to do, but also trying to find out what Cinnabar wants to do, who's just kind of an outcast. And it's really about finding your purpose and achieving what they want to achieve in life.
I would not say it's only about finding your purpose, because it sounds too broad, and there are many shows about it, like every second show about finding yourself in life. It's more about changing. It's about being afraid of changing yourself, about finding yourself in other people's eyes, in other gems' eyes in this case.
But I also think it's like the sacrifices that go along with changing. How like changing isn't necessarily the thing. Like the pros and cons of changing.
Yeah. It's a very detailed and nuanced show in that regard. It's a very well-established show.
There's just so much to it, like everything we just mentioned, but also then there's things like Foss, who really learns that she doesn't know what she wants. That when she has something, she kind of feels disappointed with how it turns out to be, and she starts searching for other things to work towards. There's just a lot of things going on thematically and in the development. That it's all very intricately Jesus Christ, it's all very intricately written.
Yeah. This show, honestly, okay. So somehow this is the lowest score of the whole group, but I gave it an 8. Particularly because it's like it has so many things going on that for several episodes in the beginning I wasn't really sure what the show was like trying to do, but in the end, like, it eventually becomes a lot more clear, and just overall, just the number of things that are happening with all the characters, the setting, just the mysteries and the powers and everything. There's so much to this series that I honestly feel like maybe with some more seasons, this show could like end up being a legit masterpiece by the end. And I really hope this gets a second season. So far, it seems that reception has been very, very positive.
It's very popular, and the manga is one of the
pretty successful
bestsellers. Yeah.
I also use my fan art radar. Like, if it's getting a lot of fan art on Pixiv, like, is that a good indicator? And so far, like, the top-rated posts on Pixiv will all be these gem fan arts. Like, you could not go anywhere without seeing gem fan arts. So I'm hoping that's a sign, at least from, like, Japan, that it's very much being talked about and discussed. And, you know, like, hopefully they're buying it, so then we get more seasons.
Yeah. And I think it's even, like, some people outside of the anime crowd, like, there are a couple of, like, amateur CG animators that I kind of follow that they don't really watch anime, but they're looking at this show like, hey, this is doing a lot of cool things. So, you know, it's pulling from a lot of different crowds. So, yeah.
I do hope that it can reach out to people and get their attention in a way that, for not being so traditionally anime looking, I'm hoping that we could use, like, the CG art style as, like, a strength instead of a weakness, like a lot of people perceive it to be.
Yeah. It's just a shame that this was on Amazon, because otherwise this might have ended up being like one of the more popular shows of this season. But so far it's just a
it has gotten
hidden
pretty
gem.
Popular. It has gotten pretty popular by the end of the season.
It is getting there. The word of mouth is starting to spread. it was actually you guys who got me into this show, because I didn't watch it for the first impressions, but you said, hey, this show's good, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll check it out, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I think it might actually be, I'm kind of torn, not too torn actually, but I think it's my anime of the year. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm saying it's my anime of the year.
Dang.
We're dropping the ball. It's the of the year.
Of
The whole
It's
year.
the staple gun of 2017.
2017, yeah, it's actually the rat of the of 2017 because it won the shit show battle to be the best show, and yeah, I think it's the best. I hope other people watch it, and I hope we can all just agree on that it's okay to be attracted to gems. Like, it's okay. You don't have to feel
Them fucking
bad.
gem butts, though. Dude, when I started this show, it didn't, like, it took me a minute to realize that they were literally gems, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, you can drive a truck through between their thighs.
Yeah, there's some huge thigh gap. These gems, you know, like,
They got it going on.
yeah.
Yeah, I gave it personally 9. There's really nothing to dislike about the show except the bitter cliffhanger at the end.
Yeah, that was
Which
some bullshit.
expected.
That was bullshit.
Yeah, a little
Which was
bit,
expected, but what can you do, basically? But it's still overall a very strong show. Episode 8 is just a masterpiece. It's my favorite episode of the year, hands
Which one was
down,
that?
Great
easily.
I
Episode
That was
8.
I think that's when Foss gets her power.
Yeah.
Oh, is that with Jem Killua? I call him that because they have the same voice actor.
I get it. Yeah, it's with the Antarctic guy.
Antarctic.
Yep.
Whatever.
That yeah,
I'd
that was
say
great.
I'd say episode 7 or 10 are my favorites, but yeah, that's
Which one was
so
that?
there's 7 is the one right before, so it's with Antarctic
Where
as well,
Foss met Antarctica for the first
Oh,
time.
okay. I
where
get it
she her arms, and episode 10 is the one with the giant thing, because that was just amazing.
Oh
now. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Visual.
the one. That's the one with
was-
with a long fight scene.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
just
it was
cinematography and animation.
Such
Just
well
production.
produced, yeah.
Yeah.
Just eye candy.
I can't actually pick a favorite episode. I can't even like distinguish them. I'd say it's between episode 1 and 12. One of those is good.
Huh, that's fair.
Yeah, it's for me. It's
Just like the
number
12 members of the Zodiac and
Oh my god. We're killing it. It's the
Spicy day.
of episodes.
Yeah, it's for me. It's number 3 of the season, of the year. I mean, number 3 of the year, and anime of the season.
All right, so great discussion about Houseki no Kuni. We're about done with the new seasonal shows. Now let's go back to, well, not all of the new seasonal shows technically. Let's go back to some of the leftovers from the previous season, as well as some sequels. The first one I definitely want to talk about a lot, because we did not talk about this show in the first impressions, but later on, Cav and I watched this, and we loved it so much that we just have to talk about it. This is Mahoujin Guruguru.
I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones who want to talk about it, right? Whoops.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah,
Watched it as
I-
well, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about it as well, because it's probably my favorite pure comedy show of the year, unless you want
It's-
to count Main Dragon.
It's definitely top 10 best anime of the year for me. I would describe it kind of like, it's kind of like Konosuba, but for kids. And I say kids, when I say for kids, I mean like, this is a show, like the target audience is like 12-year-olds, but I'm gonna turn 22 in a week. I love this show. It's legitimately one of the funniest shows I have ever seen. It's amazing because it has this very immature sense of humor, but just no matter like how low it gets, it's like every single weird little thing that it brings in, it just comes back to become a relevant part of the plot later on to some extent. Like early on in like episode one of the earlier episodes, the two main characters, Nikkei and Kukuri, they I think they like save this town from something, and so like the mayor of the town gives them this really weird looking statue, and he's
Yeah.
so insistent that they keep this statue that he follows them around to make sure that they don't throw it away. So every time they throw it away, he gets like really pissed off and keeps finding new elaborate ways to send them the statue so they can keep it. And it ends up becoming this item that like defeats this major boss when it seems like everything is lost. It's like, what? That thing was important.
Yeah, the build-ups to jokes are incredible, and some things will come after like 12 episodes. You will forget about them, but then they kind of appear out of nowhere. And yeah.
Yeah, it's also like the biggest running joke of the entire series is the dancing old man who's just following them around, and he dies. Or at least should die like 8 or 9
every
times
episode
during the entire series. He just keeps coming back, and like in the first few episodes, I was like, okay, this character's kind of annoying, and the dance joke isn't funny. But that's the thing. I mean, every character in the show really hates him as well, and it just becomes sort of a shared thing with the characters that you have. That you're just like, oh, he's so annoying, but at the same time, that's what makes him so great, because he's just so ridiculous. And yeah,
I liked how in the course of the two course, it created its own memes and then tried to meme with them. It was kind of amusing. It's just amazing comedy. I would say it's definitely the strongest comedy of the year, if not of the recent years. It's just great. It referenced itself, as I've said before, and it tries to change its formula in the second core, and it actually is trying to be sort of coming of age story with the character's development, which isn't that common in comedy, actually. It's still an adventure anime in its heart. It's just a comedy as well. Because we can see Nikki's and Kukuru's developments, their grow, how they treat each other differently, and how entire journey is influenced by Kukuru's heart, her feelings, and etc. It's great. It's just an amazing coming of age story. It's just very subtle. It's not into your face, but it's here. It's great. It was a discovery for me, which made the whole anime even more enjoyable.
It's a very, very genuine anime. I think that's like the third time I've said that this podcast. I apologize, but like this is a show that I said was like for like 12-year-olds, and when watching this show, the two main characters, they are legitimately kids, and I really had that feeling the whole time. I mean, they try to be like a little more mature than they actually are, but it's like, as an adult, I know that they're not, and so it's just kind of funny and goofy. And like, what I think is particularly captivating, the thing that I find to be genuine, or to genuine to some extent about it, is that this is like really elaborate and weird, but I should probably like make a whole essay about this somewhere else. But like, I feel that Magical Circle Guruguru is like it's like someone's backyard adventure or something. Cause like the show starts with Nikke getting kicked out of his house. Like his parents are just extremely enthusiastic. Like, oh, the world needs an adventurer. Nikke, you're the chosen one. And just like, what the fuck? No, I'm not. Get out. And I just feel like it's just this elaborate metaphor for just like a summer day where your parents don't want you to stay inside all the time. So Nikke gets kicked out of the house, and then he just goes to Kukuri's house and is like, hey, let's just do something. And then they just start having their own adventure together. They just start making shit up as they go along, and then all their other friends come in and they want to do their own thing, so they're just like, well, let's add this to the story, let's add this to the story. And then their parents get involved. Like Old Man North is like their grandpa that just wants to be cool with them and do the thing they do, and they're like, no, fuck off, grandpa, we don't want to do that. But he just won't go away, so it's like, well, we gotta work with this, I guess. And I don't know. I just feel like that's what the whole show is.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting point of view. I agree with you. It's very goofy, it's weird, its comedy is kind of not as usual as you would actually expect it's not Bakitsukami for a change of pace. Finally, I'm so glad it wasn't. And I would call shots, but it's so much better than Konosuba, especially the second season.
Yeah, I would.
You're
Because
talking to like the biggest Konosuba fan in the world, buddy. So
Konosuba's really.
Yeah, it's kind of getting compared to Konosuba, but I don't know. I feel like it parodies older games better than Konosuba parodies light novels, and it makes it not as vulgar. It's like references them here and there. It's like a game in itself, as you have said it yourself. It's not serious. It's just a genuinely very well done show with heart.
Yeah. I think even like it has a comparable setup compared to Konosuba, but the style of comedy is still quite different, I'd say.
yeah, for sure.
And finally, Kukuri. Kukuri is a treasure. Man,
She is an angel.
I really want her to add to my favorites on Mile.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
Kukuri-
characters
Kukuri-
are great. Character designs are great. This show is one of the most gorgeous shows of the whole year. I mean, maybe not in terms of like pure animation or even maybe just design, but just the consistency of it. It's every episode looks solid.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
It's 24 episodes, and I don't remember any major fuck-ups with the animation. And I particularly like when, shit, I dropped something. I like when they zoom in on something, and it's all pixelated, kind of like an old video game sprite, and it's just so seamless how they do that.
And also, if you think you're too mature to laugh at a fart joke, then Guruguru will make sure that that idea of yourself will be shattered, because somehow it manages to pull them off every time.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just too innocent for that. Yeah, so you laugh at every single joke basically. I was once again kind of torn about the rating. I still gave it 9. I just love the show that much. It's my 4th show of the year. It's amazing.
I also gave it a 9. It's the
Big dicks
of the season.
But was this season?
It's the of Konosuba.
That's
Exactly.
why.
I gave it an 8, like a mid to high 8. So,
Oh, we're kicking you out, buddy.
yeah.
We can't have that.
If I say I gave a 9, will you let me stay?
Yes.
I won't. I won't though. So
Nice
All
try.
yeah.
Well, yeah, Guruguru is one of the show I'm going to irrationally love.
I'm hyped to check it out then. I heard a lot of good things, so I will watch it once I'm done catching up with airings for this show. It'll be a Christmas.
everyone, please, I'm begging you, watch Guruguru, okay? Only like 5 people have seen this fucking show for some reason, but it's just amazing, alright?
Yep.
Alright. Cav and Shaw, how was the 15th season of Gintama?
Our Gintama corner.
It was the Inuyashiki of Gintamas, and I mean that in my definition of the Inuyashiki, not Mozilla's definition.
So it was an average season of Gintama, which makes it a 9 out of 10, which makes it the of Gintama.
The logic worked around, and we somehow got there, so it does work. I liked it. I liked it. I think it was pretty weak in comparison to other seasons. I enjoyed parts. I didn't enjoy other parts. I also had read like the manga for like half of the arcs. So like I knew it was coming, but I think they did decent with it, but I'm still concerned about this studio and like production values. Like they look like straight ass a lot of the times, and I'm like, you guys aren't even doing like an action season. Like, this is just the comedy stuff, and you guys, like, look like shit. So, that'll be interesting for next season, when they actually have to animate a lot of action sequences. Yeah, so...
Yeah, still not as bad as Shokugeki, but yeah, I agree.
As what?
As Shokugeki no Sama.
Oh, yeah. Ugh. But there are some...
We'll get to it later, yeah.
We'll get to that. But yeah, some of this stuff just looks straight ass, and there's no reason it should have looked that bad. But I think some of the stuff was pretty funny. Like, of course, the Shinsengumi is the funniest. Some of the arcs were good. I think it was fine. I don't know. How about you, Cav?
Yeah, it was fine. It was just some decentish episodes, like which you would expect from the Gintama. Yeah, it just kind of after 350 episodes, it just kind of getting old. I love Gintama. It's one of my favorite series of all time. But I also a firm believer that some series just should end when they should. That's why I'm kind of concerned about Monogatari series. Yeah, so I'm happy that Gintama ends because it needs that ending. I feel like it kind of runs out of ideas. It's still funny, but yeah, it's just not as great as it was before.
And I'm also of the opinion that like I like the comedy in Gintama, but I always like the serious parts more. I think you're on the other end, right? Like you like the comedy more, right?
I like both parts. Well, obviously, if it's one of my favorite series. But yeah, I like comedy. It's probably my favorite comedy of all time.
Okay, because I like the comedy in it, but I don't think it's as strong as the serious parts. And I do think the placement of this arc in between two series seasons is like just kind of out of place. So yeah. So I think it's kind of out of place, but I'm kind of with you. I think it's good that like the next one will be the last season, and I think it'll be a strong ending to a good series.
Yeah, and one more thing I wanted to add is that Madao Hasegawa bit when he was torn between two killers was funny as shit. Yeah, it was on par with the best Gintama cast for me.
Well, you do know that Madeo is he's the of the Gintama cast.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about anymore.
Yo, Cav will back me up. That makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah.
Oh god.
All right. Yeah, let's move on.
All right. I fucking notepad open up.
Kekkai
next season. The next show is Kekkai Sensen. Yeah. Second season of that. It was Wait, has this ended yet? Oh, the last episode came out.
I think it did
today. Oh shit, I missed it. Well, Kekkai Sensen is Kekkai Sensen. If you've seen the first season, this one is a little bit more chaotic. It doesn't have an overarching plot line like the first season did, which I kind of prefer.
Yeah.
Personally, I think this is a show that's meant to be more chaotic. Just because it's a fun show with this weird setting and these weird characters with cool powers. Although I guess the downside is that not a lot of it has really stuck to me. I've had a lot of fun watching this show, but I also can't tell you that a whole lot has happened.
I'm in a weird spot because I actually didn't enjoy the first season of Kekkai Sensen that much. I think it was too chaotic without any of it sticking. Like, it was just too much, and it didn't really do much while doing so many chaotic things. But, so this season has, like, kind of toned down the overabundance of events a bit, so it still feels chaotic, but it feels a bit more, like, well-planned. And it's given more time for the side characters to have their own focus, which I really appreciate, because in the first season, with so much going on, you couldn't really find characters to really, like, enjoy. So now I'm like, you got a Chain episode, and then you get a Steven episode, and the Lizard Guy episode. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it, where you really get a sense of the cast. So for me, it's been a huge step up from the first season, and I've enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I honestly don't have much to say about this one.
I do, we were, like, shitting on, production values. Great production values from Kekkai Sensen, especially in, like, the first episode with that, like, ridiculous fight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's, like, ridiculous.
It's Bones, expected from Bones.
Yeah, it's got some...
Yeah, Bones is legendary for adapting shonen manga. This is just this is just what they do.
Yeah, it was like particularly very good, especially for this series. And then I really like the opening a lot, which it's like a really cool card chase on a bridge. It's like, yeah, so I think the production values are really good, and they kept the soundtrack from the first season, which was always a strength of the series, so they're doing some good things.
man, I hope I don't get crucified for this, but I'm really not into the OP and ED this season.
Well,
I think
by...
both of them are pretty mediocre.
What's the band that does it? It's like a really popular band, so, what's the...
The OP is by Unison Square Garden,
yeah.
who did both of the Ballroom OPs, and the ED for the first season.
Yeah, so it's by that band, and they do a lot of great stuff, so you should change your opinion immediately, or die.
Well, it's just, I like this band, but it's just not one of their best songs.
I like it, but I'm not gonna, I think it's good. I'm not gonna be, like, offended by you not liking it that much.
Yeah. And the ED, a lot of people say the ED is great. I think the ED is just a clusterfuck of bullshit.
Well, you can't match up to the first ED. The first ED, like, the ED of season 1 is, like, one of the greatest of all time. You can't touch that.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, but it's like this one...
I enjoy it.
Not feeling it.
This is the one time when I will not have mean opinions. So it is your turn.
Wow. I guess I'm the asshole now.
No, it's your turn to hate anime. I will switch spots with you.
I don't even like anime. I only gave this show a 7 out of 10.
That's like what I'm gonna give it. So that's like...
Anime fucking sucks. Jesus.
The worst of times.
If only we had more.
Yeah. I do. I unironically want a season of.
Hey guys.
Every season. That would be the dream.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next show is very far from.
It's your boy.
It is Welcome to the Ballroom, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yay.
That's the full title.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was fine. Yeah.
Yep. That's about it.
Okay.
Okay, I quite liked it more than that.
I'm ready. I'll go last. You guys go first.
It was kind of... it was sports anime, which tried to focus more on characters, relationship with variable success. I feel like it just didn't need to be a sports anime at all. Or if sports was sidelined, like in Ping Pong's animation or Sangatsu no Line, it would have been a lot better. It just needed to focus more on characters, which were kind of interesting. But all this talking bullshit during dancing, all the dancing techniques discussion, it just fell completely flat on me. It just didn't feel mature enough. Like, it was just following the your usual shonen tropes. It was so predictable. Like, I don't know. It was just so simplistic. So it was fine, but I really got nothing out of the anime, and that's kind of sad.
Well, I guess I'll be the crazy person here and say that I gave this show an 8 out of 10 because I really liked it. Yeah, I know, and I don't know why. I think it's the type of show that I did look forward to every week.
I'm sorry, that was a terrible noise.
I didn't even hear that, but that was dank.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's the type of show that I could just watch every week and be entertained by the characters interacting and dance sequences, even though I really hate dancing myself. But it's hard to explain what makes the show entertaining for me, but I think it's just it had charm and it had great music, good designs, fun characters, decent writing. It just combined all those things to have some sort of charm that I can't really describe, but it just worked for me, and I don't know why. So,
yeah,
that's probably the most vague thing I've said.
I definitely found.
What's that?
No, you go.
Okay, I kinda hate this show.
Stop! I was gonna say that.
Don't say that. Don't be
like. Okay, it's difficult to even say that because I actually went into this with very good first impressions. I actually thought the first core in general was pretty solid. I mean, the dancing of this anime, the crux, just spoiler alert, the crux of my argument is that the dancing in this anime is fucking horrible. But it was still kind of saved by the writing of the show. I think it did some good things. It's very much a shonen sports show. It does a lot of common tropes that you could see from this sort of thing. Like the main character, he just has his own way of thinking, and that just allows him to get good. And also, just through hard work and determination, he can do something really impressive. You know, I mean, this show demonstrated those things pretty well. And I think Maki, whichever, she was a good character. I liked her. I think Tatara was decent. Yeah, it was like the whole thing was fine. And then it's like all of it just wore off on me in the second cour. I don't like Chinatsu at all. I don't know what her deal was really. I guess I'm just not a huge fan of bitchy characters in general, and she's very much a bitchy character who's just hard to deal with. And the dancing somehow got worse. Like, there'd be some times where they're like someone takes a step and then there's like 3 minutes of exposition explaining just what they did and explaining things like, oh, their form is really good, except they're not even showing them on the screen, so what the fuck are they talking about? It's really bad at presenting the dancing, and that's overall why I hate this show. I mean, maybe not hate, but overall, that's my problem with the show. Because I'm very much someone who's like, I'm very fascinated by performance and things like that. Like, a lot of people shit on Yuri on Ice for not having the best animation, but I mean, at least they tried. I appreciate that about the show. They tried.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree.
And that's what matters. And some of my other favorite shows, like Rakugo Shinju, Hibike Euphonium, Kids on the Slope, they're all about performing, and when you see a character performing, it's like the best portrayal of what they're doing, and it like really makes what they're doing so fascinating, even though I don't know a single thing about Rakugo. Just like I don't know anything about ballroom dancing, but I can't really say I can't really say that after 24 episodes I know a whole lot more about ballroom dancing than I did at the start of it.
Yeah,
so,
I do think that's kind of, I think that's a lot of my sentiments as well. This is not to keep the hate train going, but it can't stop now. Unfortunately, I think Ballroom is probably my biggest disappointment of the year. Not because it's the worst show of the year. It's not even close to the worst show. But because I think...
definitely not.
No, but because it had so much potential, and it had all the building blocks of a great show, but it didn't really manage to capitalize on that. I think it kind of strikes me as a show that is kind of pretending to be a good show, but it doesn't know what it means to be a good show. So it's kind of like when you see like a cosplay that's kind of like really half-assed, but like they don't, like they're trying, but they don't know how to put all the pieces together. I think
honestly, sorry to cut you off, but I just kind of want to like echo that. I feel like this show is pretending to be an anime when really it's not much more than just like a manga with sound.
It's
because like if they couldn't animate two characters, like I totally understand that, like drawing two characters doing this weird dance together, I'm sure that's really fucking hard. But if they couldn't do it, then why did they even bother?
And it's not like this was like we're not in a situation like other studios where it's like an up and coming studio that doesn't have a lot of experience. You know, we're talking about
this
the sports anime studio. They do Haikyuu, they did Kuroko no Basket. They've done, they probably did other shows I'm not even thinking of, but that are like this related, but, you know, they have experience in this field. Like, it is essentially the same staff doing it, and, you know, it's different because it's not a team sports anime, but, you know, you guys know what you're doing. This isn't, like, you guys aren't noobs. Like, it's not like you've never come across a series that requires a lot of action animation. Like, you should know what you're doing with this. And it's definitely sad to see because I think it did have the potential to be a really great show, but unfortunately, I'm also not... I think the problems are deeper than just animation production issues. I think I never really felt compelled by the characters. I think it was like a lot of the struggles focused on, well, I love dance or I hate dance. Like, this guy's cool because he loves dancing, and this guy is sad because he hates dancing, and I wish they could have a bit more interesting backstories. And, like, even, like, probably one of the more interesting characters, the Sakurai character in the second season, I forget his name, but He's like the edgy-looking guy.
Kugimiya, yeah.
Kugimiya. I like
didn't
him.
realize he was Sakurai. Wow.
Yeah.
Surprise. But he was kind of cool, but then it's also like, you know, I just think of him in like the hospital and how he's sad that he failed at killing himself, and I just want to like laugh at like the idea of that. Like I don't know. It's really tough in the sports anime sphere because there's been so many precedents set by high quality animation, very likable characters, both protagonists and antagonists, and just really like this kind of way of immersing the viewer in a new type of sport or performing arts that they aren't familiar with. Like, I'll always use Chihaya Furu as the standard of making something boring hype. Like, they made a poetry card game hype. So if Chihaya Furu can make a card game anime hype, you can make ballroom dancing hype and interesting, and I don't think they managed to do it. Sorry.
I don't think they tried.
How will you ever recover from this? Whoops.
It's so
yeah, I know. I feel so like the odd one out. But
you can be the of this segment or this like
God
this
damn,
this,
I was
this
waiting
show.
for it.
I mean, you addressed the Sakurai character.
I'm so
Kugimiya.
sorry.
You addressed the Sakurai character, Kugimiya, and I think his whole story, which even if it was only like 10 minutes, it was the showcase of what the show can do well. Because I actually really liked that chapter, particularly like.
Yeah, it was great, and then it was all brought down by very generic Fujita's development. Because, oh man, emotions! We got emotions! We gotta win! Whoa! And because we're main characters, whoa!
The show definitely, it's had a lot of ups and downs, I think. And I think for me, the charm did enough to mask the poor parts of the show. And the great parts of the show, at least the parts that I thought were great, kind of stuck with me more. And that includes the backstory of the Sakurai character.
I do have to give credit where it's due. Credit where credit's due. I really liked the Yuri backgrounds with like the blonde friend who like
Yuri.
I call it Yuri because she like obviously has feelings for Chianitsu. I forget her name. Like I like that. Chiatsu. Yeah. I really liked her backstory. I thought that was really interesting and compelling. I thought they did a good job with that. It probably would have been cool to see her more like play a bigger role in this series, but I think she also did a good job with the role she had. So I do think they can do good background stories. I just think they need to like do more of those and more frequently. Something like that.
It's definitely unpolished and not without problems, but I think it has a certain sense of charm that for me worked, and that others might just not even get out of it at all. It's a show. Yeah.
It's okay.
All right.
Just decent. So I gave it a 5.
I gave it 6.
I gave it a 4. I hate anime. I'm sorry.
I said before I gave it an 8, but I'm kind of questioning that. It's kind of a score that I gave with my heart and not with my head.
That's what it takes to win at dancing. So you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Alright, here's another show that got kind of forgotten from the summer season. This is Fate Apocrypha.
And let's be fair here, it should have been forgotten.
Yep.
Wait, what?
It should have been forgotten.
Oh.
Because it sucks.
Yeah, you know how you were saying, like I think, Maz, you were saying that you thought that Ballroom started strong and then got weaker? I think that Fate Apocrypha started weak and continued to remain weak every week. It was still bad. So I think some people are under this like misconception that as soon as they added Sig, like the show got really bad. Nah, it always sucked. Like it was always that bad.
I would kind of disagree with you, and
okay.
I don't know. Zig was, is, and will be the worst thing about the show by far, because with Ruler, it's once again, oh, my justice, I have to do the right thing, the dashi, oh my god, oh, this is so annoying, cut this shit off, please, out of my Battle Royale game.
That is true, but also, like, I don't think other people are necessarily good. Like, he sucks, but, like, there's not, like, good people in the series.
Yeah, there are not good people, but they kinda die. They are not plot devices just to show the others' ideas, I guess. They just kinda exist, but Zeke lives with all the bullshit. We just have to put up with him and struggle with his presence just because other likes him. He has no reason to exist in the show at all.
Yeah, I do like, I think it got cut. I think the turning point was when they had the battle in the castle and you saw Vlad get turned into Dracula and he just looked like the dumbest shit of all time. Like, it wasn't a threatening Dracula, it was like a really cartoony Dracula. I think that was the turning point where I'm like, yeah, the show is mud.
Yeah, the show is mud, but it's not as bad as it could be, I guess.
The funny thing is, I've seen 6 episodes of this show, and I have no idea what the fuck you guys are talking about. Because this show is, like, so utterly incomprehensible that it all went over my head, every bit of it. The only thing I know is that Astolfo is a character that kind of looks like a girl, except he has a dick, and that's the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard, apparently. Because no one wants to shut the fuck up about it.
He doesn't even have a good character design. Like, if guy or girl, he looks like shit.
He legitimately doesn't. He has a fang that's made out of flesh. It looks fucking hideous.
Yeah, it's like not a good trap.
That's fun.
He's not.
If this character was actually a girl, no one would like him.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I want to say that this was like kind of a cool idea, but everyone kind of knew, like, going into it that this would just be like a fake cash grab. Like, I think people just like it because they play along with Fate Go, and then they have like they can roll for those characters in their game, and then like they just compare it to that. Like, I think that's pretty much it. I think they just like it because, like, oh, look, a Rider event is coming, or like a Ruler event is coming up, I can roll for her. Oh, and she's in the show too, I guess. Like, that's my perception of this. Like, without the game, I think no one would give a shit about this show.
Yeah, because I thought, like, it would be... I thought it would be popular among, like, Fate super fans, because it's like, oh, it's just more Fate, so, you know...
It is popular among Fate fans, actually.
Well, even then, like I have my friend Paizuri, that's his name, by the way. His favorite anime is Fate Zero, and then he watched this show ironically because he's just like, what have they done? What? How could they make something this bad? It's like legitimately the worst thing he's ever seen.
The Juuni Taisen of Fate.
I don't get
there it is, guys.
I don't get tired of it. I don't get tired of this. I don't. It's like still great.
I'm legitimately interested in the comments for this fucking podcast.
Yeah, the only character I kinda like in the series is Mordred, Saber of Red.
That's the one character, like,
mostly because she's voiced by Sawashiro.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I don't actually care about her, but she's not bad. I like, I think I did like someone, but I stopped caring about that. I can't even remember. It's done.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So there you go.
It's done.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you just, like, want an indicator of, like, how good the show actually is, you just, like, go to the discussion thread, and it's just all memes. Because, like, when this first came out, I was already lost in, like, episode 1, and I'm like, wait, do people know what the fuck's going on? And then I went on the discussion threads, and everyone's like, oh, Unlimited Translator works! I'm like, I don't know what that means, alright. No one knows what's going on, they just pretend that they do. And also, I don't usually rate shows that I drop, but I would give this a 1 out of 10, specifically because it's not called Apocrypha.
Ooh, missed opportunity. Yeah. That's just so much missed potential in the name, so it's just downhill from there.
Yeah, I would give it 4 out of 10 out of 21 episodes I've seen.
I'd give it... Yeah, I think my progression has gone 4 out of 10 from the beginning, and now I'm at episode 17, and it's still a 4 out of 10. So,
wow. It
has remained consistent. Top 10 most consistent animes of all time.
It's the... Wait,
stop it.
Someone made that joke already.
Yep.
Alright. And now, finally, we're at the last show of the fucking season. The third season of Shokugeki no Soma. A fairly interesting season. For some people, this was kind of a return to form, kind of like back in the first season when we had a lot of really fun character interactions and it wasn't so action-packed. But then the show kind of changed later on. It became
It kind of changes, yeah.
Yeah, it gets different. It becomes more of a drama later on with an actual villain. And provides a lot of character development, and it's pretty interesting.
So what I dislike the most about the media at all, in general, is when something gets a new season and it's basically the same as the first one or the previous one. There is nothing new. And Shokugeki no Soma's third season tries to do something different, and I have to give credit for it. It's not always a good thing that it does, but it tries to do it at least. It tries to fresh up the things a bit, to shake some things a bit. It's interesting. It's still Shokugeki no Soma. It's still fun to watch despite everything, just because of the legacy of the first season, just because Soma is so awesome. He's so fun to watch. It's just interesting, and I'm going to watch the next season and the following season and all the following seasons. Yeah, even though it looked like total shit.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I think
Pan
JC staff
shots
mailed it
made
in.
my head spinning.
They mailed it in hardcore. Like, they obviously don't care about the production values at all. They have all these, like, weird speed lines for, like, cooking when we're not... Like, you don't have to go fast with cooking. But, it's really clear that they haven't really, like, tried to keep it as fresh looking as the first season. And it's really tough to do that with most shows, but especially with Shokugeki, because the manga art is, like, top tier. The guy was, like, a hentai mangaka. So, like, he's got really great artistic skills, and I would actually say that, like, the manga, like, consistently...
That's the benchmark for artistry, drawing hentai.
It's like how, like, if you go to an art school and it's really prestigious, like, obviously you've got great skills. Well, he draws hentai, so he's a prestigious dude. He knows
Yeah, I like how you correlated with each other. Yeah, it's great.
Thanks. So obviously it's great. We all know this. Just facts. But no, I read the manga, and like his art is just so good, and it's only in like black and white, and like he just makes everyone and the food look good. And JC staff like did a decent job of kind of translating that first season, but now they've clearly stopped giving a fuck and have not even tried.
Yeah.
A lot of it just looks like straight ass, and it doesn't need to look like ass. Like you don't have to put in that much extra effort to make it look good. But
Yeah, the most hyped character of the season, Kobayashi Rinda. The way she looks in the anime and the way she looks in the anime is just two different characters.
Yeah, like there's the one
Basically.
scene, like you guys know the scene where I think the dad shows up and Rindo is like, oh look, everything's gonna change now, and she has like this really menacing smile.
Yeah.
That's like a manga panel that I think a lot of people have seen around because it's been colored, and like that's been like her trademark picture because it's like so intense looking. The impact of that was completely ruined in the anime because she just looks normal. Like there's no definition, like there's nothing that would speak and say like this is a standout moment because they just dropped the ball with the art style so much. So those are the kinds of small things that get ruined in translation. And kind of hurt the tension a bit when you're not feeling like the intensity of a character because they're supposed to look really intimidating.
The thing that bothers me the most with this show, I didn't notice it until someone pointed it out to me, but then when they did, it like legitimately almost ruined the whole anime
the panning
for me.
shots.
The fucking panning shots. This show is constantly moving. It's not doing anything, but it's moving, and it makes me fucking seasick.
I'm not sure if there is even one single static shot in the anime. I'm not sure.
And the thing is, I actually went back to check, and they've actually done this like the whole time. The panning shots have always been there. It's just that there's just more detail in each frame. The characters have they look much more sharper, and they're much more animated. So you don't really notice it that much. But when there's just nothing going on, and for some reason the screen is moving in some direction, it's like, God, it's so irritating.
Yeah.
But I mean, even production aside, I think this third season has just been really disappointing overall. Because, like the big twist is like, hey, guys, I know what Shokugeki needs. We don't need more matches or more training. We just need like gourmet Adolf Hitler to run the school, which is just the weirdest thing to put in a show like this. Because Shokugeki had always been like a silly show, kind of like over the top.
Well, that's the thing.
And
go on.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, it used to be over the top, but then kind of aware of its own nature and just be silly about it. But then this just feels extreme, and even like it's trying to be dark, and that's just a really weird thing for
Dark
Shokugeki.
and edgy.
Yeah, it is kind of being edgy, which is just feels completely out of place.
Like, why are you trying to introduce a morality aspect to cooking? Like, you're trying to make it a good versus evil fight, and it's cooking. Like, no, you don't do that.
But that's the thing, like, Shokugeki, like, I agree that the plot of this season is fucking stupid, but Shokugeki has always been fucking stupid.
But it was, like,
when
fun
someone
stupid.
when someone eats a delicious food, their fucking clothes explode. What the fuck do you want?
That's
Wait.
actually the most realistic portrayal of anime for me.
That doesn't happen in your life?
That does for me. I don't know what's going on with you. What food are you eating?
Yeah, I'm sad.
Garbage.
Yeah, I'm sad for you.
For well, but no, I think this is
Dog food.
I just love how he just says that out of nowhere.
That's a slay. No, I think we're all on the same page with this one. I guess for me, I always thought the strength was kind of seeing the cast interact and try to get their different cooking styles to beat each other out. And I'm sad we're not really getting that as much, but I'm still glad we get more of the the cast interaction. I also am gonna say, obviously biased, but I think Alice has really shown this season as her best girl self. Like, her telling her,
Frick, yeah.
when she told her uncle, like, I hate you, and we got to get this great pout, those were some great moments. So everyone's like, oh yeah, Erina's development is coming in hot, and I'm just like, yeah, but Alice pouts. Like, we gotta look at the true things that are happening.
It's a top tier pout.
She's like the Juuni Taisen of Shokugeki.
Exactly. She's the best.
Yeah, I'm not reading the manga, but I recall there are some explanations in next season. There were some hints that it's far from being explained, so far developed. So we'll see what Azami is about, and Central and stuff. Yeah, I'm not optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic about next season. It will exist, and it will probably be enjoyable enough for me to watch it. So, yeah.
So that's a win somehow.
It's still Shokugeki after all.
Yeah, I mean, when there was that episode where Souma beat the fuck out of the guy, the dick guy who was voiced by Sugita, it was still fucking enjoyable. I had pleasure watching it.
I have to say, I think Soma is actually one of the more underrated protagonists. I think he's actually, like, a really well-executed protagonist for both having, like, a really fun, likable personality that is, like, really, like, interesting and enjoyable, but also for having that cool, like, under-overdog quality where, like, he seems like an underdog, but he actually has a lot of skills. And I think he's really balanced in a way that most people could really enjoy. And it's kind of sad. Go ahead.
Go on. Okay, he tries to learn, he tries to be better at stuff, and at the same time, he's not always winning. Like, there are many people clearly who are better than him, and he's okay with that. He's not, like, trying to just get, like, better than them. I mean, he tries to, but he fails, and he knows that he will fail, but he tries to learn. He's kind of conscious of his abilities, and it's what makes him stand out for me.
Yeah. And he's just fun to watch because he's really cocky and yeah.
I just love how like I think he's like the silliness of the show kind of manifested or something. Like I just love how a lot of characters in this show are just like trying to be like so cool and so badass, and so much is like whatever, man, dude, I don't care. Like, all right, I'm just gonna make something weird that I learned in my diner. Fuck you.
And Matsoko plays a very good role here too.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I liked this season overall. I apologize if I seemed like really negative towards the season. I didn't expect to like it that much because this manga arc, and it's probably going to be more so in the next arc, but not a huge fan of these manga arcs, but it was actually more enjoyable than I expected.
Yeah, same here.
So I gave this a 7.
I gave it 6.
6.
5. Because I just really hate the plot.
Wow, I'm the highest one here. All right,
it's kind of like
fantastic.
The scores.
Just like
I crack up with this every time. Like I know it's old, but I love this joke so much. I'm sorry, I love it.
We made it like an hour ago, and it's already outdated.
I love it though. I love it.
It's the Fitness Gram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues. The 20-meter pacer test will begin in 30 seconds. Line up at the start. The running speed starts slowly, but gets faster each minute after you hear this signal. A single lap should be completed each time you hear this sound. Remember to run in a straight line, and run as long as possible. The second time you fail to complete a lap before the sound, your test is over. The test will begin on the word start. On your mark, get ready, start.
Feel it.
One. 2. 3. 4. 5.
Nah, I'm not gonna actually do the whole thing. I'm just fucking with you. This is the last one, I promise.
our memes.
Oh god.
All right, we've fucking run this into the ground. We're out of shows to talk about, and we are over 2 hours into this. I think it's time to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody, clap your hands
once again.
Everybody, clap your hands.
Yes. And also, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I forgot to mention that. We're at 1,000 subs on YouTube.
Congrats.
We will have something special for you in the coming weeks, I believe. We'll see.
Yeah. So that's great. Thank you guys. Cav, Shaw, Whoops, thanks for joining me once again.
Thanks for
having me. It's a good season.
Thanks, Maz. Happy 2017, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Watch good anime.
Everybody, clap your hands.
It was the saddest clap.
Shaboom!